All right, we've worked with a bunch of different formulas. One of them is slope-intercept form. So on the back, let's put this down. Slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Remember that the m is the slope. The b is the y-intercept. We have gone through to find this by using a table, by doing delta y over delta x. We also worked on the equations on the equations form, which was standard form. Which was ax plus by equals c. And on our last lesson, we went through trying to take the equations from standard form and moving them into slope-intercept form. So for example, an equation that was in standard form. Okay, so there's the equation. Let's rewrite this into slope-intercept form, like what we did in our last lesson. So what it means is we're trying to get y by itself. So I'm going to draw my line right here. I need to move that 3x over there to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 3x from each side. And I get 5y equals negative 3x plus 25. Now I divide by 5. And I get y equals negative 3/5 x plus 5. That right here is slope-intercept form.
Can we like for the y, can we just change to x?
Now, another formula that we're going to use is called the point slope formula. And with the point slope formula, you're going to be given a slope, for example, 6, and a point. The formula for point slope is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. What this is saying is that we are going to take these numbers and put them into this formula and substitute it in. So point slope formula, that's what it is right here. This is on your formula chart when you get it for your end of course exam. Now, so what we have is I've got x1 and y1, and this is my slope. So when I'm writing my equation, I have y minus. Now, whatever the y1 is, we put that in there. That's 7. Equals m. M is my slope. That's 6. Then I have x minus x1. x1 is 1. This is now my equation in point slope form. How this can help me is I can take this now and I can rewrite it so that it is in slope-intercept form. So I have y minus 7 equals 6 times x minus 1. So I want to write it so it's y equals mx plus b. How we do that? I'm going to draw my line from my equal sign. First thing you do in solving equations, the parentheses. So I'm going to take 6 times both of these numbers. So let's see, I've got y minus 7 equals 6 times x, 6x, 6 times negative 1, negative 6. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to add 7 to each side. And I get y equals 6x plus 1. Now I can do something with that one because I know that if I was graphing it, I would start at 1 on the y-intercept and I would go up 6 and over 1, up 6 and over 1 to be able to graph it. So let's look at the first problems on your paper. Oh, that's number 2. Let me go backwards. There we go. All right. It says, given the slope in one point, graph the line and answer each question. So let's substitute it in. My equation, I'm going to write it down here. I've got y minus y1 equals, oops, not x, m. M times x minus x1. Okay, so to write it in point slope formula, y minus y1 is 1. So y minus 1 equals m is 5 times x minus x1. Now this one's a little trickier because you've got a negative 1. Now we can't leave it here as minus a negative. Minus a negative means a negative times a negative is a positive. So this actually changes. Remember, just like when you guys used to do this in middle school, it makes it into a positive. So it becomes x plus 1. Because even though right here this x number is a minus, the formula has minus y1 and minus x1, so you have to change it. Now, this is your equation in point slope form. We need to write it in slope-intercept form. So let's see, I've got y minus 1 equals 5 times x plus 1. Well, do the distributive property first. I have y minus 1 equals 5x plus 5. I'm going to add 1 to each side, and I get y equals 5x plus 6. Now it says, at what point does a line cross the y-axis? It crosses here at 0, 6. That's why we did it. We moved it around so we could find our y-intercept. So now I can go up here to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, put a dot. The slope is actually 5 over 1, telling you to move up 5 and to the right 1. Well, I can't go up anymore on the graph they give me, so I'm going to go down 5 and to the left 1. Down 5 to the left 1. And then I can draw my line. Let's try number 2. There we go. All right, point slope formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Well, let's substitute it in. Y minus y1. Okay, so x1, y1. Since this is a negative 4, it changes this to plus 4 equals, the slope is 1/2. X is supposed to be x minus, but since the x number is negative, it changes it to plus 2. That is my equation in point slope form. Yeah, you always change these negatives to a positive. Yes, you do in this formula. Because the formula says minus, and if the point is negative, a negative times a negative makes it positive. Now from here, to move it into slope-intercept form, first thing I'm going to do is I've got y plus 4 stays the same. I take 1/2 times x, 1/2 x. 1/2 times 2 is plus 1. Now I move the 4 over, so I subtract 4 from each side. My equation becomes y equals 1/2 x minus 3. Where does it cross the y-axis? Well, right here it tells me that's my y-intercept. 0, -3. So now I can go on my graph to -3 and put a dot. My slope is 1/2. It tells me to go up 1 to the right 2. So I'll start here, up 1 to the right 2 and put a dot. Up 1 to the right 2. Up 1 to the right 2. Oh, there we go. Or I can go down 1 and to the left 2. Down 1 and to the left 2. And then I will draw my line. Try and do number 3. Try and write it in point slope equation. Don't try and move it around until we come back and check just that point right there, point slope. So we've got y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So try and write that now. Okay, so just writing it in point slope form. You have y minus y1, which is 1, equals m is a slope, -4 times x minus x1, which is 1 again. That's what you should have gotten. Now we need to rearrange it to put it in point slope form. So the first thing I'll do, I'm going to leave my y minus 1 alone, equals -4 times x, -4x, -4 times -1, +4. Add 1 to each side. Y equals -4x plus 5. That 5 is my y-intercept. It crosses my y-axis at 0, 5. So now I'm going to go and put a dot at 5 on my y-intercept. My slope is -4 over 1. That tells me to go down 4 and to the right 1. So starting here at 5, I go down 4 to the right 1 and put a dot. Down 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right 1, put a dot. Down 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right 1 and put a dot. And then I will connect my dots and draw my line. You have to do the graphs, yes. Try number 4. So your equation, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So my equation, y minus, now look, this is x1, y1. Minus, but see this is -3, so it changes it to +3. Equals -2/3 x minus x1. x1 is just 6, so I'll just put that in there. That's what you should have gotten for the point slope form. So now as I go to change it into slope-intercept form, y plus 3 stays the same. -2/3 times x. -2/3 x. -2/3 times -6. A negative times a negative is a positive. Now, if you put in the calculator and put in there parentheses, 2 divide 3 parentheses, times, oh, I guess we needed to do a negative right there, times -6, it will give you your answer. Let's see, that'll be +4. Now, you just subtract 3 from each side. So your equation becomes, -2/3 x plus 1. Your y-intercept is 0, 1. So you're going to start on the y-axis and start at 1. The slope is telling you -2/3. It tells you to go down 2 and to the right 3. So I'm going to start at 1, down 2 to the right 1, 2, 3. down 2, to the right 1, 2, 3. I can also go backwards and go up 1, 2 to the left 1, 2, 3. Then I can draw my line. Next one, on the right hand side of your paper right here, the instructions say find the slope of each pair of points, write the equation of the line containing those points in point slope form, then write it in slope-intercept form, state the y-intercept, and graph the line. Whew, okay. What we're going to do first, let's go through and plot these 2 points. I'm going to graph the point 1, 1, over 1, up 1, and put a dot. Oh, I guess I need to move off of that thing. All right. 1, 1, and then 3, 7. Over 3, let's see, over 3 and up 7. Okay? Now, to find the slope, I can do this a couple of ways. One, I could build a table and put 1, 1 and 3, 7 in there. Remember my x and my y. Delta y, sorry, the change in y is 6. The change in x is 2. Well, yeah, from this point, I'm up 6 and over 2. Up 6 and over 2 reduces to 3. There's my slope. Now it says to write your equation in point slope form. You have your slope and you choose one of your points. I'll just choose 1, 1. You could have chosen the other one. It doesn't make a difference. So now in my equation, I have y minus y1. y1 is 1 equals, my slope is 3 times x minus x1. x1 is 1. There's my equation in point slope form. Now to find it in slope-intercept. Rewriting this one, y minus 1 equals 3 times x, 3x, 3 times negative 1, negative 3. I'm going to add 1 to each side. I get y equals 3x minus 2. Well, my y-intercept is 0, negative 2. So to graph it and draw my line, really, I start down here at 0, negative 2, plot that y-intercept. I already had those 2 other points drawn, plotted, and there's my line. Go ahead and do number 2. Okay, so on the next one, first off, I've got the point negative 1, 5 and 1, negative 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. There we go. All right, so now I need to find the slope. So again, you can either find it from your graph, your slope formula, or the table. As I've got negative 1, 5 and 1, negative 3. Delta y, the change in y, negative 8. Well, yeah, because you're going down 8 and over. Delta x is 2 and over 2. Negative 8 over 2 is negative 4. You should have gotten your slope to be negative 4. Point slope form, it doesn't matter which one of these you choose. I'll go with this one. I have y minus y1, which is 5, equals, m is the slope, negative 4, times x minus x1. x1 is negative 1, so that changes this to positive 1. Now, if you use the other point, your equation would look like y plus 3 equals negative 4 x minus 1. So if you did the other one, that's what your equation would look like. To move it into slope-intercept form, this first one right here, I'd have y minus 5 equals negative 4x minus 4. Then I add 5 to each side, and I get y equals negative 4x plus 1. Well, it should be, I should come up with the same equation over here if I did the other one. Y plus 3 equals negative 4x plus 4. And I would have subtracted 3 from each side. Y equals negative 4x plus 1. Sure is, same equation. So my slope-intercept is y equals negative 4x plus 1. Y-intercept is 0, 1. So I can plot that y-intercept, 0, 1. I have those 3 points. Voila, there's my line. Next one. Here are my points. Okay, you should take a minute and try and answer these questions. So first thing I'm going to do is plot these points, negative 4 and 5. Oops. And negative 2 and 1. Now I need to find the slope. Negative 4, 5 and negative 2, 1. X and Y. Delta Y, the change in Y. Negative 4. Well, 1, 2, 3. Is that right, or did I not plot it right? Let's see. Negative 4, 5 and negative 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's right. Down 4 and over 2. Plus 2. Delta Y over delta X. Negative 4 over 2. Negative 2. There's my slope. Now, my point slope formula, doesn't matter which one I use. So one of them, if I use, I'll just go with this first one. Y minus Y1, Y minus 5 equals the slope, negative 2 times X minus, make sure you have the right point. You go back to the same one, so this should be plus 4. If you did the other one, you would have Y minus 1 equals negative 2 times X plus 2. All right, so either one, if I go to solve and get Y by itself, it'll come up with the same equation. Y minus 1 equals negative 2X minus 4. I'll add 1 to each side. I get Y equals negative 2X minus 3. Okay, so that's slope-intercept form. My y-intercept is 0, negative 3. So now I can go down here to 1, 2, 3, negative 3, and I can draw my line. Now, number 4, oh, let's see. Number 4 on this one is not the same as what you guys have on your paper, so hold on a second. All right. So let me show you what you guys have on that paper. When I made the smartboard file, I didn't adjust it. All right. So I have W9 equals negative 7. W negative 7 equals 9. And it says Y equals WX. The reason why we had to throw one of these on here is because on the EOC last year, they had something written crazy like this. What this means is my X number is what's inside the parentheses. My Y number is what it's equal to. So right here, this ordered pair, this is my X number. So I have 9, and out here is my Y, negative 7. In this one, what's inside my parentheses is my X, negative 7, and what's outside is my Y. Now with this, now we can graph those, except I think I picked crazy numbers. Let's see. Negative 7 and 9 is way up here. And 9 and negative 7 is like way down over here. Okay, so finding it by your graph is not going to be the most friendliest way. But to find the slope, I can go and build a table and put in there 9, negative 7, and negative 7 and 9. Now, delta y, the change in y, that is plus 16. No. No, it should be plus 18, right? No. It is 16. Whew. Having brain malfunctions. No, it's not. What's negative 7? What's 9 minus negative 7?
9 minus negative 7.
Mm-hmm. No. Put in the calculator. 9 minus negative 7. 16. Delta x. Going from 9 down to negative 7 is, oh, this is positive 16, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's a negative 16. All discombobulated. All right. Finally figured it out. So I have 16 over negative 16. When you divide that, that's negative 1. That's your slope. With your point slope formula, it doesn't matter which one you use. I'll use this one right here. I put a check mark by. I have y minus. Now, the y number is negative, so it changes it to positive 7 equals. Slope is negative 1 times x minus 9. Now, to put it in slope-intercept form, I have y plus 7 equals negative 1x plus 9. I'm going to subtract 7 from each side. Y equals negative 1x plus 2. So I have y equals negative x plus 2. My y-intercept is 0, 2. So I can start at 0, 2. The slope is negative 1 over 1. Down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. And you can draw your line. It says at what point does it cross the y-axis? Well, that's 0, 2. All right, now I rewrote this because we changed it on the worksheet, but let me erase everything on here and let me do the problem that was originally on there. There we go. Let me move that little line. There we go. Okay, so on this one, it gives us the point 3, 4, and 6, 6. So I'm going to go over to 3 and up to 4, put a dot, and 6, 6. All right. So now I need to find the slope. I can either find it from the graph or on the table. If I did it from the graph, I'm going up 2 and over 1, 2, 3. Up 2 and to the right 3. So my slope would be 2/3. Now to write my equation in point slope formula, I'll just use that first one. Y minus 4 equals 2/3 x minus 3. Now to write it in slope-intercept form, y minus 4 stays there. And then I have 2/3 times x. 2/3 x. 2/3 times negative 3 is negative 2. Then I add 4 to each side. I get y equals 2/3 x plus 2. That's slope-intercept form. Let's see, let me erase that little red marks. All right, the y-intercept is 0, 2. So I can go over here to 0, 2. And now I can draw my line to connect my dots. Where does it cross the y-axis? 0, 2. That's the y-intercept.